So from this
Yep.
moment forward, we are on the show. Welcome. For those who don't know you,
Thanks, mate.
your Coala Bear 14,
Yep.
BR 14, my Portuguese
Yeah.
there. This is a very special show because for the first time in like uh, 2 seasons, okay, 2 seasons, you were actually the first one to invite me for this chat. You said we should grab a drink sometime,
That's
and
right.
that's
We did.
that's the whole reason why this season started, so that I could grab a drink with you. So is my drink.
That's good. Oh, I got my coffee. It's a bit early here in Melbourne, so
Also, it's the latest episode ever recorded in the story of OSnap.
there you go.
No one has ever recorded this late, which means that I had a bottle of wine before this. So I'm so
You already
sorry.
kicked.
Yeah, I'm so sorry about anything that might happen on this episode. Cheers.
No worries, man.
Okay, so we have been talking with each other for what I feel like it's like since the beginning of 2021, more or less.
Yep.
Almost
Yep.
every day, but we never actually met face to face. So it's very
Yep.
nice to meet you. Something
Likewise.
that I just have to ask, and this is like the first question that I ask on my show for the first time that people are on the show. Why the name? Why Coala TV?
Why
Koala
the name?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Even I told you, right, that I was kind of looking for rebranding, right? Because
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah. The way it started was, as you know, I kind of collect passports, right? So I am Portuguese, Brazilian, Australian, right? So I'm just kind of touring around the world. But basically, I was born in Brazil, and after a long time, I got an opportunity basically to come to Australia for work. And a lot of my mates at work, when that happened, they started basically calling me Koala, right? Because clearly Koala is the kind of the first thing you think about Australia, I don't know, in their minds.
Finding my family when I went to Australia started talking a lot about kangaroos. So the other big animal connected to the country.
I don't know why. Yeah, it ended up kind of sticking to me. So everywhere we went to kind of have a drink or whatever after work, etc., they started to address me as Koala, and it's with a C because that's how you spell in Portuguese, of course. And then BR, as you can imagine, for Brazil, and then 14, I think it was because when it was the World Cup in Brazil, I think. Yeah. So it's a bit complicated.
Yeah, it's a mix. It's a mix of a lot of things. So if I'm correct, you started virtual photography with Ghost of Tsushima.
Well, I started with The Last of Us 2, but it was literally just kind of turning the camera around, and try to snap some snaps. I don't even have a lot of Toulouse shots, to be honest. I think probably I got 10 or 15 at most, and not even considering the quality, so I'll probably say 1. But Ghost of Tsushima was the one that really got me into. I want to kind of learn a bit more about virtual photography, and then there was like I think it was mainly because like PlayStation Australia was hosting some contests as well about it, both in Toulouse, which I've applied, and then Ghost of Tsushima as well. And then I started seeing like the amazing work of people. I started finding people, found the VGP network as well as a result of that, and that's pretty much how I kind of kicked it off.
That's so interesting, because that means you have been doing this for a little over 1 year.
Yeah, give or take. Yeah, give or take. Yeah.
And you already are getting, for those of you that don't know, you're already getting games earlier than release, right?
Yeah. Not on console. Console only happened once with Ubi for Far Cry 6.
I know
So
the
that
feeling.
was, yeah, that was actually pretty good, to be honest. But yeah, we've of course, I'm doing some work with NVIDIA as well, that we get some access to a couple of games to kind of shoot them for some of the campaigns that they've got at the moment. So, but majority is just PC. Yeah.
As someone that started this 3 years ago, and many that started this a long time ago, I can. I got my first game earlier, like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and you have been doing this for 1 year, a little over 1 year, and you already getting those types of deals. How does it feel? How does it feel to be like the new guy on the block,
And here
and
on the block.
and already having this much success, because you are getting success?
Um, Honestly, I don't even see like that, to be honest, because uh, my motivation really to kind of kick this off was just kind of passion about learning more about virtual photography, right? Um, this year in particular, it has been where I got a lot of kind of some of the devs kind of started following me, etc., which was a pretty good feeling, I must say, you know, but completely unexpected. With in all honesty, and I think I've even told you a couple of times where we chat, like, you know, on DMs or whatever. I just like feel like there are so many great people there that take some amazing shots there, right? um I would say, to be very honest with you, it's kind of a bit of a luck more than anything, to be honest.
And people don't realize that it's luck.
Yeah.
Most of what we do and the deals that we end up making and the connections that we end up establishing is luck. Is the dev saw the tweet at the right time,
Yeah.
someone liked or someone shared on Instagram stories at the right time, that the studio saw it, and
Mm.
it kind of happened. So most
Yeah.
people don't realize that, but that's how most of the deals happen. We have an intruder. Uh, are you okay? Are you okay, mate? Okay. So, of, of how many games do you think that you have photographed this year? Like,
This year has been a lot because of COVID, right? Like,
yeah,
as you know, we spent like 250 days at home. So there was definitely time there to clear some of my backlog. I think probably, I don't know, 15, 16 games, I'd say, that I'm really photographed, right? Like, not excluding the ones that I used to start.
we
Yeah.
we talked about this a lot recently, because I'm looking to getting a gaming PC, and you are helping me
Mm.
on that journey. But how do you tackle games? Do you like tackle a game in the way that you play just to take photos, or do you like play a game and snap sometimes?
Oh yeah, that's my number one principle, right? Like, I play games because I want to have a good time playing a game. You know, the photography part comes as a bonus, to be honest, right? So the only time that I'll probably snap just for the sake of snap is, for instance, if I'm doing a campaign, perhaps for a game that I wasn't planning on playing at all, right? But for me, it has always been that, you know, I rarely, for instance, replay a game as well, unless there is something new added to it. Like, for instance, God of War, I've replayed just because they released like the 4K version of it, for instance, right? But I just can't replay a game just to shoot it. It's just not my thing, to be honest. So I just go along, basically, as I spot that place. Oh, this looks nice. Photo mode on. That's it.
Something that always
Yeah.
caught my eye on your photos is that they really and maybe that's why Nvidia contacted you so early in your career, let's call it that, is that they look kind of professional. They look different from what yeah, they look different from what we usually see. Even looking at your Twitter banner, we can see some very well lit and very well established portraits. Do you have any experience prior to virtual photography with photography, or it just
No,
started with virtual photography?
not at all. Yeah, you've seen like even like some of my early The Last of Us shots, right? They were shit, right? Like I had zero knowledge. I remember getting to the photo mode for the first time, and I was just like, oh my god, there are so many options here. I don't even know where to begin, you know. And I think the first one, of course, that I started playing with it was like the FOV, and I thought that that was enough to basically take a shot, you know, and that was it. And then honestly, I started reading a lot of the stuff that Mick used to put on his website, because it explained really to a newbie in terms of how to get some knowledge in some of those things. And yeah, because yeah, if I started looking back some of my old shots like Mad Max and so on, yeah, there are probably some okay shots there, you know, give or take, but a lot of them were kind of a bit average now looking back, you know. And that's just because I had probably not a lot of knowledge in terms of the kind of things you could do with the photo, and you know, putting attention to certain subjects, etc. Sometimes I used to just kind of, you know, let's put more, open up, you know, have like everything to fit in that one frame, etc. You know.
Funny, if you look
Yeah.
back at my photos, I did the same thing. Let's put more in the yeah. The more equals better.
Yeah.
When you are
That's
starting
right.
out, the more you put on screen.
That's right.
But you started with two games that I actually consider to be some of the best for beginners: Ghost of Tsushima and The Last of Us. Ghost of Tsushima, in particular, to learn to teach you about light and the control over the sun, teaches you that very well. I think those two are very good. Another going back a bit to when you started. When you started, do you already had the YouTube channel, or did that start
Yeah.
at the same time?
Yeah, no, I started with the YouTube channel basically. I think it was about 2019, I think. And it was literally I started basically. I already play games anyway, so I might as well just kind of record and publish the gameplays, you know. Of course, there were probably different kind of attention to certain games I was playing, but the one that really made my channel kind of bomb was Days Gone. Basically, I started doing the platinum walkthrough, which I think I did like 90 videos or something on that one, and it was literally me just kind of playing the game throughout until I get the platinum. Yeah, and I think I got like, I don't know, almost like half of my followers came from there. Yeah.
When I had Viking Dad on the show, we talked about this. There aren't many Days Gone focused YouTube channels out there. There are a lot for God of War and Ghost of Tsushima. They are starting to pop up.
Yeah.
Spider-Man, but today for Days Gone there aren't many. So I guess there is a lack of content there that people are always seeking. And I think before he joined band, he was the perfect person to create a Days Gone centric. He now runs the band account, so yeah. So I'm going back to when you started, because it's so interesting to me that you started a long time after me, like 2 full years after me. I was doing this for, like, I was part of the community, set up when fully into this when The Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima came out. So something that we talked about in the last episode that you actually didn't saw because it's not published yet was that it can feel overwhelming starting out because there are so many community pages out there, like
Yeah.
so many people want to share your work and etc. Did you feel overwhelmed? Did you feel like there are I don't know what hashtags to use, or did you feel like
Yeah.
right away you knew how to do things on Twitter?
No, it was definitely overwhelming. As I said, the first page that I found out was the VGP network. And that's pretty much who I started to probably engage more at the beginning. And then eventually I started finding out that, the photo mode, gamergram, and so on. And then now I think today there is kind of a ton of them, to be honest. But yeah, it for me, it was kind of good because, well, the challenge for me was that what I started noticing with the community page, which is great, by the way, is kind of that sense of to bring the community in with themes and challenges and stuff like that, right? But the reality is that I never had time to basically properly do it, even if they gave like a month to do it, etc. I just get lost to it because like my time is so limited, even kind of playing games, right? Like most of the time I just play on the weekend, basically, unless it's the only exception was The Last of Us, which I literally played like night after night because I couldn't stop. But otherwise I just kind of play on the weekend, basically.
We talked about that a few times, but how challenging is to play with kids, playing having like adult responsibilities.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult.
I
There
ask
are
this
even
because my only responsibility is this fella right
yeah
here,
yeah
and he doesn't take my time at all.
yeah. At some point that was my only responsibility as well, so that was that was easy. No, it's very challenging, and sometimes I get to it's like today I'm gonna literally sit here and I'm gonna for instance I'm gonna play Far Cry for an hour or whatever,
I
and
heard that photo mode is good. There is a video tutorial going around
yeah. There's a
that
douchebag that puts something together. Yeah. but but yeah, that is yeah. It's just yeah. It's very difficult, to be honest. Like like of course, game can always wait. In those situations. But because I have that limited time, that's my window basically to play a game, which is usually about probably 2.5 hours a week, so to speak. So, which is kind of, and that's why like I always take a long time to finish a game because it's not a long time, and adds photo mode into it. I do
I
like
was
probably two missions a week.
yeah, that was my next question. How is it to juggle between like I want to finish the story, but I also want to take snaps, and there is a new game coming out that I really want to play, but I have to finish this one first. But you have a very limited time to play. How does that work? Like, for
Yeah.
instance, like how many hours do you have on Assassin's Creed Valhalla?
Oh, that's a bit different. I put probably I think close to 200 hours, I think, now with all the DLCs. That was a bit different. I just get like so hooked into Assassin's Creed. I've been playing since the first one. Just love the franchise, to be honest. It was a bit bloated, to be honest, the last one, but when you get the photo mode and you see all this scenery, that all this stuff that they kind of offer to you, it's just kind of, you just see the kind of time goes by, to be honest.
Today I was
But
talking
yeah,
with one friend that about Guardians of the Galaxy, and we are in the opposite spectrums of that game. Like, I
yeah,
really want. At the time of the recording, the game hasn't come out yet, so
yeah,
I really want that game to come out. I'm really hyped for it, but my
yeah,
friend isn't. My friend is like, I don't know, the gameplay, the characters, they look very generic and whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, but it has a photo mode, so it's a good game. And I feel like you just touched that. Like Valhalla is very loaded, but it has a photo mode, so it
Yeah.
makes me forgive more. Like virtual photographers forgive more
Yeah.
because of that. Um,
100%. Yeah, but in terms of your question, like around the games, um, yeah, sometimes I do like that kind of final sprint. If I have a game that's gonna coming up, there's like I don't know, just have to put a few hours here this week so I can actually enjoy the next one. A good example, for instance, like Death Stranding, which I was really planning to play. Bought it and still sitting there. Just don't have time.
when you talk about that final sprint, does it mean that you unplug your virtual photography virtual photographer brain and just like rush to the end, or do you still take
Um,
some snaps?
yeah, one thing that it's actually funny that you've mentioned that, because one thing that I started noticing is that I get really hyped at the beginning with taking photos, and then when it comes to the end, I just look for the perfect moment
Yeah.
to take a snap. Otherwise, I just keep going, um, because I think the first time that you handle it, just like you want to learn how the photo mode kind of works, like the different aspects of it. And then once you kind of say, okay, I kind of understood how this thing works, now then I'm just gonna find a real good moment for it, right? But of course, like early in the days, I used to take like 900 shots of a game, right? But there were just like, I don't know, 80 good ones or something like that. Um, but now I'm kind of going down, I guess, in numbers and trying to be more like, less is more, I guess, kind of concept.
I'm still in the 3 years after I'm still in
Yeah.
the like let's take 300 shots of every game that I played. What, Kina is only 6 hours? I will take 300 shots in 6 hours. But I asked
Yeah.
that question because, for instance, in The Last of
Mm,
Us Part 2, when
mm,
you spoilers for a game that came out 1 year ago, but when you get to start playing as Abby, I always thought that the section with Abby was like a very small section.
yeah.
So if you go back to my first album of The Last of Us Part 2 photos, you will see that I have very few photos because I was trying to rush the Abby part. Because for
Okay.
me at the time it was like this is spoilers if I post them. So I don't have
Yeah.
very much, like Abby is my favorite section of the game, but I
Yeah.
don't have many photos of it because I was trying to power through and
Yeah.
turn my brain off. Uh, so that's why I asked that
Mm,
question. But it's really interesting that what you said, like at the start, you are trying to learn the photo mode, so you take
mm.
more photos, and by the end, you already know exactly what to do to like take an action photo, take a black background photo. So you are like going for that shot that you really know what to do.
Yeah.
Something
A bit
that
more picky.
you yeah, and
Yeah.
being picky for me, I can't. Like I I found this comment recently. I think it was Shinobi Space,
Mm,
but I'm not sure if it was him. But something like I publish 99% of the shots that I take, and I saw myself in that comment because that's what I do. I like
mm.
very rarely do something like goes unpublished. If I didn't, if I took the
Yeah.
shot and I transferred from the console to the computer and I'm looking at what to post, most likely they will be published,
Publish.
and
Yeah.
that can take a long time.
Yeah, I do something similar, to be honest, right? No different, but it's just what I'm saying that I'm probably kind of be more picky is just because I try as well to look, I guess, the quality of the photo as well, in terms of that, because sometimes I take the shot which I thought was great, but then when you look at it on the screen, you're just like, it doesn't kind of look that good as I thought it would, and that's only the reason why I wouldn't post the shot. But I'm similar with you, like, like with Valhalla, I started posting since December, and I'm still posting photos, right? Like if I was just gonna post the ones that I really think stood out, I would be finished by, way ages ago.
Something that I always do, and I keep saying this, is that I very, very rarely post shots of games that I am playing, because I
Yeah.
feel that
Yeah.
the last shot that you took, for you, it's the best shot that you took. Like, no one compares to that rush that you just took that shot and, oh my God, this is my Mona Lisa, this is my
Hmm.
whatever, oh my God. And like, if you give it like even 2 days, you will see the flaws on that shot, and maybe just not even transfer it to the USB. You will erase it
Right.
on the console. So that's why I
Right.
never post something that I took. Far Cry 6 was an exception to that rule, because obvious
Yeah,
reasons.
yeah. Well, fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah,
You did with Kenna as well.
I did it.
Sort
Yeah,
of. Yeah.
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 But with Kina, I wanted to go for the social media grab.
Yeah.
100% there. Like, the even looking back, I think my shots with Kina were pretty decent for the time, because the photo mode is very intuitive. It's not like you have to learn the photo mode. If you have
Yeah,
tried
it's pretty
like three,
basic.
or
Yeah.
yeah, if you try three photo modes, you basically know what Kina has to offer.
Yeah.
So I
I agree.
posted right away. And looking back, there is like two photos that I would probably like not publish now,
Yeah.
but I still like most of them. You recently posted a video. At the time of recording, 4 weeks ago, you posted a video getting started with virtual photography and camera tools.
Yeah.
This is basically how to go, uh, how to manage camera tools on PC.
Hmm. Yeah.
What do you feel is the biggest difference between shooting on PC and shooting on console?
Um, well, it depends on the game, to be very honest with you. Um, so of course, if we do have the privilege of getting a camera tool like from France, then definitely you have far more options there. So the first thing that it's a 100% benefit there is the free range camera, right? That you can literally go anywhere. You have all this freedom that you can go wherever place you want to go, basically, right? That even sometimes it doesn't look achievable. Things like, for instance, during cinematics, right? So cinematics, you think, oh yeah, you just pause the game and you take a snap of that. No, with the camera tools, literally you can flip around, go around. Yesterday I was playing, for instance, Assassin's Creed Origins, and I paused in the middle of a cinematic, and I could actually get a perfect portrait of the character, which I couldn't get in the game because sometimes it just the texture looks a bit off and so on as in comparison. But yeah, for me, it's just the kind of freedom that you have in terms of going pretty much do anything you want with the camera, right? And that's usually the biggest limitation that I see. And yeah, of course, the photo modes then in those cases that are not even applicable to it, but it comes with some painful learnings. To be honest, that's one of the reasons I put the video on, because when I started to try to shoot on PC, it took me a long time to kind of learn, but maybe just because I'm a slow learner, I guess, in this space, but for me it was something really hard to kind of get the gist in terms of how to use things, pause the camera. There are multiple commands that you can use to do it, then just recently I learned, because sometimes when you pause the game, you had like some flickery issues with the texture in some characters sometimes, and I just learned how kind of to remove them sometimes, some of them like with command lines and so on. So the thing is, in a nutshell, I love playing on console just because of the simplicity of how things are organized and how you can easily access things, shooting a PC, of course you got more freedom, but you get a bit more headaches, I guess, in terms of the different combinations. You have like tools like Reshade on top of it to apply a different look and feel to it, and so on. So I don't know, I still prefer playing on console, to be honest, than on PC for the photo mode. But of course on PC it looks better graphically, and you have that camera tool as well to help you out. So with Assassin's Creed as an example, the cool thing about it is you can enter the photo mode and then you can enable front camera on top of it, right? So you can literally still use the photo mode features and have all the freedom that you want to do with it, so that for me is a big plus. But for instance, when I was playing Alan Wake for the campaign that I was doing for NVIDIA, there wasn't a camera tool, right, to properly do it. So the only thing that you could actually do is to kind of rotate the camera around and take a snap of the game, right? So no DOF, no vignette, no nothing. You can do like post editing, some of these things, right? That's not a massive concern, to be honest, but you don't have, the only thing you've got is FOV and zoom and moving the camera around, and in those situations it's not a great experience, to be honest, right?
Something
Yeah.
we slightly talked in the DMs, but we didn't talk that much because I knew when I had it on the when I had you on the show, I wanted to ask Reshade. You don't use Reshade, and it's something that I noticed right away once you told me that distinguished your shots from other PC virtual photographers. Why don't you like lean on Reshade?
Like I said, I kind of a simple guy. As if I feel that I have too many tools to add to it, I'm not a guy that's gonna spend like an hour taking a shot, right? I like I said, I have a very limited times to play games, let alone kind of spend 1 hour just to take one perfect shot. So I think like adding Reshade to it is just kind of increases the time that you're gonna do it. Not that I truly I love that kind of the shots that PC players take, to be honest, and I wish I had the patience to probably do it. But the other thing for me is I like to keep the vision, I guess, that the devs had in terms of the look and feel of the actual game. So I try to kind of stay as much as possible into that, with some very minor, probably I guess fine tuning that I'll probably do like outside the game, and like probably like just adding a bit more of Coala here and there, or shadow, etc. But I definitely don't use Reshade to it. For me, it's just the camera tools.
Or for someone that like is starting now to get into PC virtual photography, what are the advices that you can give to get those, to try and get those types of deals with NVIDIA? Just asking for a friend.
Honestly, I'm not sure if I told you how the whole thing started, but it was
You didn't. That's why I'm asking on the show.
Okay.
Like putting you on the spot.
All right, sure. I literally just started doing what I do for every single post I do, which I started tagging them, right? Because the games I was playing had RTX, right, basically on, and the OSS. So I literally just started tagging the local account on NVIDIA, and then they started liking the post, and then after I think a couple of, it started with the flight simulator ones, to be honest, and then after a couple of posts, they DM'd me and they asked me if they could use my shots for a campaign across their different accounts, and of course I said yes. And then right after that, they said, "Would you be keen to become a digital artist?" That was pretty much it. I didn't initiate anything. That's what I'm saying. It goes
That-
back to my point. Pure luck.
That's my problem. There is no
Yeah.
Nvidia Portugal.
There isn't.
So there is nothing Portugal. There is PlayStation Portugal, and those guys suck. And if they are seeing this video,
Yeah.
please contact me so I can run your social media.
Maybe go for Germany or UK. You know, that could be.
That annoys me so much because there is everything UK. There is like Portuguese brands. There is a Portuguese football club that has like the name of the team and then UK on front, and I'm like, why do you have that account? Like just to speak in English. That's the only reason why you have it. And there is so little like content in Portugal. There is Xbox, Nintendo, and PlayStation Portugal, and that's it. Okay, we have IGN. Those guys are awesome. IGN Portugal.
Yeah.
Like I can't like
Hashtag
complain
ad.
too much. Yeah, but they I really like those guys. But yeah, now we are coming to the finish line on this interview. This went by really fast. And for those starting out, like being on social media, sharing your shots, sharing your art can be very crushing. You can like feel overwhelmed with so many community pages, with so many people, like big accounts. You don't like to admit it, but you are a big account nowadays. So how for account someone just starting out, what is your advice?
Well, if I look back on my mistakes, the first
other
thing
than other than follow.pun, what's your advice?
Okay, yeah, that's about it then. No, definitely the first thing is, I think that you know, everybody I guess started like that. It's to probably remove a lot of the hashtags to begin with. Something that I've learned throughout my journey. I used to put like, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 hashtags into one tweet. First of all, I think it looks ugly. It takes the attention off your shot rather than helping you out, basically getting noticed. And that's what would probably be the first one. The second one for me is probably enjoy the game rather than just try to kind of get popular, to be honest, because I had no intentions to do it. I just did literally to kind of learn a bit more about photography and so on. And if you put in your mind that, you know, you just want to kind of get better just because you want to know how to take similar shots, like, you know, someone like Dot Bone or, you know, Shinobi.
I heard that guy is an asshole.
Or Focus and so on. You know,
that guy is awesome.
Yeah.
But the first one,
you know, yeah. But like I've learned, like literally, like looking at your shots, you know, every like Shinobi's mix one, you know, and a bunch of others that, you know, Chris for landscapes, you know, the list goes on. To be honest, there's like so many people out there that I still look at there and looks for inspiration, you know. But I think it's all about that, basically, you know, try to find that kind of inspiration, like how the hell the guy took that shot, you know, like why my shot don't look like that, and try to see the differences. And I've been quite open sometimes, like you know, I used to kind of DM like Shinobi and it's like, how do you take that, right? And he used to explain to me. He was probably a bit pissed off with me after some point, you know. But
and you never asked me.
Huh?
And you never asked me.
You were too big. Intimidating.
That's a compliment, so I will let it pass. I will let it slide.
Cool. Yeah, and I think the last thing for me is one thing that I've learned as well. I used to literally take different shots on a same scene kind of things and make a tweet of it. and
One
I've started
one pause for pictures.
yeah, so to speak, you know, and that's not just like a good kind of a tweet. I'm not like, no offense, but I've started learning personally from my perspective that, you know, once you have a couple of different shots, and probably that's why the approach that you do, which is basically I never post when I'm playing a game, right? Because then you can literally pick the best shots that make that tweet, you know, as opposed to, oh, I've just rushed, I only got like 20 shots, so I have to club all these shots that I just took together. That will be it, and of course tag the your local accounts. I think, you know, like going global is something that sure you can get some great reception for your stuff, but I found that going more local, you have like a better avenue there.
I joke before, but this year was by far my most successful year in since I started, and I started to connect more with the Portuguese gamer scene, not the VP scene, because we are basically four guys on the VP Portuguese scene, but to the Portuguese gamer scene, I started to connect a lot with them and started to get interviews with IGN Portugal. I started to really get known in Portugal, and that helped me boost my numbers because of that. So yeah, I agree with that last advice a lot.
Yeah,
this was it. This was
it.
Yeah. Something that you want to plug? Where can people find you? Projects that you have for the future?
Projects, and just, you know, I'm usually more active on Twitter, and Insta is just usually I share probably my best shots. I'm trying to grow a bit more there, but hasn't progressed as much to be honest. Projects, you know, just playing games basically. And keep enjoying. That's all.
Okay, so that was it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will don't forget to subscribe, ring the bell, like those YouTuber things, and I will catch you all on the next show. Bye.
All right, see you, mate.